How you doing, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of ToolBox TV. As you can see, I'm just finalising things, getting ready for our Discovery Day today. It's Saturday morning. I am just finishing up the room and waiting for the guys to arrive. The Discovery Day proved popular, so we ended up putting on a second day, well, mainly because some of the guys couldn't make the Saturday. So if you're still interested, if you're curious as to what the Discovery Day is all about, if you're curious about how you can work with me on a one-to-one basis, then book your space for Friday, because we have one on this coming Friday. And it would be great to see you there to explain to you exactly how we can work on a one-to-one basis. However, that's not the purpose of this week's ToolBox TV. This week's ToolBox TV is, in my view, an interesting one in the sense that some of you, most of you, will have heard me talk about a thing called leaflet domination. And that is basically when you blanket cover an area in such a way that people can't help but see your leaflet, and it's quite targeted. You hit a specific area. You are targeting a very tight area, and you're doing it over and over, and you're doing it in many different ways, which I explain in detail when we talk about leaflet domination. And it works, and it works gangbusters. It's a really good, effective strategy. However, I found it very interesting to see. So the latter part of last week, in my local area, now as you all know, I'm working on trying to get rid of some of this body fat and get healthier. And some of what I'm doing is walking. I'm doing a little bit more walking. And I was out walking around our local area, as I'm doing regularly now. But I was out walking the latter part of last week, and I noticed that a lot of signboards had gone up. Now, you will know these things as, I think most people class them as begging boards. They call them begging boards. And they're the typical thing where a conservatory company are in a property, and they put a sign outside saying another satisfied customer, or conservatories buy, or that type of thing. Or a garage door company has just installed a garage door, and they put a garage door outside, or sorry, a sign outside saying, you know, garage doors, and that type of thing. Now, I have to say, I've done a very similar thing previously when I was on the tools with boards for Electrician, your local electrician, and I primarily only ever used them if I was going to be in a property for a long period of time. So for an example, a rewire, and I may put a board in the garden or a board in the window stating that the house being rewired by Kent Electrics. And they do work, they attract a certain amount of business. But imagine my surprise when I'm out walking and I discover that there is not just one signboard for this particular patio company, but there's one each side of the road in the entrance into a close. Now, when I say a close, it's not particularly a small close. There is a large number of houses inside that area, but it's one way in, one way out. Yeah. So there is a signboard either side of the entrance through into this. As you carry on, as I was carrying on with my walk, you notice that at every other junction there was another sign for this patio company, this company doing brick patios. And you cannot help but, you know, you may miss the first one, you may miss the second one. But this guy, I counted on my walk, I counted 7 different positions where he had his sign out. Not to mention the property that he had the sign, that the work was going on in. Now that was the early part of last week, and the last part of last week, and I actually saw where he was working. Come the end of this week, I now see that he is starting work on another property in the same area. So this is working for him. Now, you know, whatever you say about the boards, and there's pictures of the boards that I've been showing you, but whatever you say about the boards, and you know, me, from my perspective as a marketer, there are things that I would pick apart on that board. There are, you know, I wouldn't use the 0800 number, for example. There's a couple of other things that perhaps, you know, take the name Mayfair and put it below the actual job of what they do. As I said, there's little things that I would pick holes in and say improve. But this guy is bloody well doing it. You know, he's got it out there, it's working for him. Yes, with some tweaks, he could make it work even better, but he's doing it and it's working for him, and it's simple. You know, these little signboards, these little boards, you can get, I think the last time I checked, you could get 4 of them for 50 quid. And it's such an easy strategy. And there's the key word, guys. That's the key word. It's a strategy. This guy is working a strategy. He's not just putting a board up after he's done a property and hoping that somebody sees it. He's not just putting one up in an area and hoping that he sees it. What he's doing is he's going into an area, he gets a job in an area, he goes into that area, and he decides that he is going to dominate that area. He's going to take control of all of the patio business in that area. And by Christ, he will do it by carrying on doing what he's doing. Improvements. What would I do differently? I would put, as well as putting the boards out, on day 1, I would do a leaflet campaign in exactly the same area. On day 2, 3 or 4, I would do a leaflet, not day 2, 3 and 4, but day 2, 3 or 4. I would do another leaflet campaign of that area. And he's making a fantastic offer. If you look at the signboard, if you see on the signboard, he says, you get 25% off if you book while I'm in the area. That creates urgency, and it gives you a sense that you're getting some form of a deal, which is fantastic. And I say a sense of getting some form of a deal. Most of you know that I am not a fan of giving discounts, but there's a difference if you're using it as a strategy. So for example, if you put a quote in to somebody, let's say it's a quote for £500, and they say, can you knock a bit off, or can you give me a discount? I don't agree with that. I don't believe in that. I think that is just somebody being cheap and trying to, you know, take off of you, because you will have worked out your quote, not on the basis that you're going to give a drop down, but on the basis of your value and so on and so forth. Yeah. But if you build it as a strategy, so for example, you know that you're going to promote it as 25% off, then you still build your value into that. And as long as you're promoting the price, let's say for example, I mean, let's make this easy. Let's say for example, you're promoting an hourly rate of £100, and you really want to be earning £75, then your 25% is covered, because your real value, what you really want, is the 75, but you're promoting it at 100. And this is the beauty of what this guy is doing with his signboards. There's no pricing on his signboards. He simply says, I'm giving 25% off. So all he has to do when he goes to present a quote is to basically say, you know, my usual price would be £100, but today you can have it for 75 because you're booking it. But he knows that 75 is what he wants. So, you know, it's a cracking strategy. And again, I'll say the key, guys, it's a strategy. It's not a hope, it's not a wish. He's not just popping a board up and hoping that it works. I've actually seen his guys in the morning go out and make sure that the boards are all standing up. There's 1 or 2 of them that get tipped over by the wind, or the kids on the street or whatever. And I've seen his guys go out first thing in the morning, and they go to visit the signs, pop them back up, make sure that they're visible. So this isn't just him wishing for something to happen. He has a strategy. He is making this work for him. And I bet he is going to be in and around my local area for some time to come, because there's a lot of drives that need doing. There's a lot of patios that need sorting out. He is, in my view, you know, a marketer. He knows what he's doing. He has a strategy and he is following it. So how can you apply something like that in your business? You know, number one, get over your fear that people won't like it or people won't be interested in it. You know, he could easily stand back and say, oh, I can't put signs up in a public area because people will get upset by it. The neighbours will be upset by it. You know, at the end of the day, he's getting work from it. It's working for him. If somebody complains or there's a problem, take them down, move them, get rid of them, whatever. But I can't see people complaining. You know, they've been there now for a little over a week. I'm sure they're going to be there for some time to come, because my guess is that while he's picking up work in the area, he will continue to leave them in position. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's nothing illegal about it. There's nothing unsavory about it. It is just good business sense. Now guys, I'm not saying everybody go out and use signboards and so on and so forth. What I am saying is look at the concept and think, how can I adapt that? How can I use that in my business? Until the next time, continue to learn and grow, and I'll see you in the next video.